Our next speaker, Richard Roth, the Managing Director and Regional CIO, Wholesale Bank at HSBC, as he shares his expertise and vision on this exciting topic. Richard is enthusiastic at API technology, like what Patrick just said. He was the active participant at API Day Hong Kong continuously since 2010. Currently, Richard leads a regional team focused on creating excellent new customer experience for commercial banking, leveraging new technologies and digital channels. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. Is that working? Yep. Okay, I'm on. Thank you very much. And a very hard act to follow with Dr. Fock earlier, because I think she said many of the things that I wanted to say. But just to touch on what Patrick said at the start, this is my 4th year. And I think I'm the only one that's done all 4, yeah? So I have this unusual designation. I'm a founder speaker, which I think I'm the only one. But it was interesting when I first started talking to Patrick 4 years ago about APIs. I think we both knew that just had a sense of the importance of this enabling technology for commerce. And I'm very pleased for Patrick and B Novelty and the whole API Days team, just seeing the momentum and courage they're getting, because this stuff is changing the fabric of business. And I think it's great that we've got so many interested people with so many different perspectives all getting together to drive innovation and drive a fundamental shift in the way that we do business. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, I've got 20 minutes, 60 slides, so stick with me. I don't have 60 slides. I'm going to talk a bit about what's happened in terms of APIs in banking over those 4 years. I think one of the main themes that you'll get from this presentation is just the shift in thinking and the shift in focus that we are seeing not only in our organisation but in other banks and financial services organisations. A lot of the initial work that we did in banking on APIs was driven by 2 things. Number one, it was driven by the needs of our largest and most sophisticated customers to want to connect automatically between their systems and ours to streamline the processing of transactions. And these are the big companies, the companies that process tens of thousands of transactions every single day. They're paying creditors, they're paying employees, they're paying suppliers, they're paying, and it's industrialised payment processing. And of course, they don't want to have to sit down and process those payments in their own accounting and ERP systems and then turn around and have to process those same transactions in our banking systems. And so they're looking for that integration, not just a file transfer. They're looking for that integration of their systems so that when the payment's generated, the last step is it gets authorised and gets into our payment system. So a lot of what we were doing was driven by demand for those very sophisticated clients. The other end of the spectrum, we started to see probably 7, 8 years ago, we started to see the rise of open banking, which is really this thematic that a customer's data with their bank is theirs. So the transactions that I do with my bank as an individual, that's my information. And I should have a right to get access to that information, and I should be able to use that information for whatever purposes that I need. And we saw the generation of legislation across different markets. UK was the leader in that, where open banking started to drive a regulator push for us to create greater connectivity to our systems. If I fast forward now to 2023, the thinking is really quite evolved. Now what we're thinking about, and this is a survey from McKinsey for 2023 of APIs in banking, and what they're saying is that 88% of banks, 88% of banks think that APIs are an important part of their strategy, and 81% are ranking them as a priority. So much so that 14% of the banking budgets are focused on API-based initiatives, both internal deployment of APIs, modern cordless banking systems, API ecosystems inside the organisation, all the things that we need to make sophisticated organisations work, move away from monolithic systems to connected platforms, but very much on that interface between us, our customers, and the new economies of commerce that are emerging through a digital and connected economy. As I say, the focus has really gone from that compliance with regulation and meeting the needs of our major customers to focusing on improving customer service and reducing the complexity of connecting with the bank. The big drivers for us are 2 things, is the need for us to modernise the technology that we use to provide banking services and support our customers. Commerce is very, very different. You know, in the old days, it was really nice and convenient. We'd sit there and wait for our customers to bring us a batch file with all the banking transactions in it. In the old days, they used to do it physically on tapes. In Australia, I used to have a business, and one of our clients, they used to meet the guy from the bank in the shopping centre car park at 11 p.m. every night and physically hand over a tape reel. And that was their payment transactions to go into the banking system. And then we would take those transactions in and we'd process them on the tape or on the disk or on the file download or on the FTP or whatever it was that we got it. And we'd process it in batch mode, turn the computer off at a certain time, process things on batch mode, and then turn the computer on to start the next trading day. Well, of course, business isn't like that anymore. Business is 24/7. Business is elastic and changeable. Business doesn't enjoy simple, smooth lines of transaction flow and volumes. You know, we all the big tech companies have trained their customers to focus on big sales events. Like everybody remembers Singles Day in China. The last number I heard, I mean, that's obviously the world's changed for Ali, but when they were in their heyday, at one stage in the very first minute after they would open their Singles Day sales event, they were processing between 750,000 and 1 million transactions per second. Now, of course, as a banking provider to a company like Ali, that tidal wave of transactions is going to come through to us. And so we need to go away from these big monolithic systems that process files in nice discrete batches to cloud-based, virtualized, elastic systems that can scale up to this massive demand when we need to and provide consistent and available performance and services. But you don't do that with systems quarantined on big lumping lumps of tin anymore. You do that with connected platforms. The current thinking is we've got what we call cordless banking, where a banking platform is no longer a mainframe computer with things hanging off it. It's an ecosystem of technology, ledgers and databases and transaction processing services and fraud and security and risk management services and things that interact using APIs to provide a connected platform for banking. The other thing that's driving this is this notion of embedded finance. The days of the people coming to the bank to do banking are over. Don't quote me on that, actually, because there's lots of people who believe that. But they're on the horizon, let's say that. Because people, again, they don't want to go away from the thing that they're doing to deal with the bank. If I'm buying a car, I don't want to have to step out of my car buying journey online, and the car buying journey is increasingly online. I don't want to have to step out of that journey to go and do a loan application. I want to have the facility for me to be able to provide the information that I need as part of the car buying journey to be able to get the finance that I need to proceed with buying the car. The same goes if I'm in the process of ordering some supplies for my business and I'm dealing with a supplier in a different market. I don't want to step out to organise the trade finance or to do the foreign exchange transaction or to move the money between my accounts to be able to pay that supplier. I want to be able to do that inside the process flow and the transaction activity that I'm doing. So a lot of the future of APIs in our business is about embedded finance, about taking banking to the customer at the point they need the banking service. So what do we do about it? Well, it's changing our role, I guess, as a bank. You know, we're having to learn to be more of a partner for technologists. We're having to learn to be more of a partner for the innovators. You know, one of the great things about this API economy is that there's lots of opportunity for smart companies to think about where in that transaction flow, where in the value chain they can add value, remove friction, provide additional service. And of course, the people who are driving a lot of these initiatives are the technologists inside the organisation. So we as an organisation are learning to become more of a technology-facing company. You know, we are learning more about engaging developer communities, about providing developer portals, about providing services in the way that our developer customers want to consume them, and providing engagement and support from a technology perspective. We're also finding ourselves becoming more and more of an advisor to our major customers. This journey of a connected economy and real-time commerce and embedded finance and transactions is complex for us, but it's also complex for our customers. And so a lot of what we do now is actually sitting around on the same side of the table as our customers and talking to them about ideating about how we're going to do this. How we're going to be there on the day that Ali or the next major sales event opens the door and 1 million transactions a second have to be processed. How we're going to help them to make sure that process happens smoothly. So what does all this mean in terms of our API strategy? 2 predictions. The first one is that the evolution of our API strategy has gone from taking an API-based service and distributing it across the internet in the simplest way. So the simplest way is that we would write an API-based service with our own user interface and our own graphics and design and iconography and all that sort of stuff, and we'd stick it into somebody else's site. The alternative was that we would provide a headless service, and the customer would pick that headless service up, and we'd become white label to them, which we find is not really a great mode of business. But we're seeing the whole API economy move beyond that to what we call hypermedia API. Hypermedia API is where we start to build programmability into the API set that we're providing to our customers, so that we're co-creating a customer journey, where it's us and them together in an integrated customer journey and service that is available through their channel, through their platform, through their transaction flow, to enable their customers to take advantage of a bunch of henchmen coming. Take advantage of. Am I getting carried off stage? Where we're actually working together to provide this co-created customer journey that is very highly customised and tailored to the use case and the need of the customer. The second thing that we're seeing is the move away from sort of a pick and mix style provision of APIs. We've got one that does a bank balance and one that does a customer authentication and one that does an FX quote and one that does this. It's starting to build bundles where we're starting to take our APIs and build these API sets that allow our customers to start ideating and building their own variants on the services that we can provide. And that's really powerful stuff, because now we're in the realm of co-creating products and services with our partners to help them bring value to their customers. It's not without its challenges. This is an area that is growing like crazy. As I say, we used to have this sort of boundary of control around the way that we processed our transactions into our business. We would have to take the files. We get the tapes and the disks and the file uploads and things like that, and then we could control how quickly they went into our systems. Well, if we're in the situation where, Black Friday in the US, the day after Thanksgiving, when all the big cyber sales go on, every single e-commerce vendor in the US is doing a Black Friday sale. Well, all of a sudden, we've got 10,000 vendors all doing 10 times the transaction volume. And so we need to be able to scale and be elastic for hyperscale type transaction events, hyperscale type query events and the likes. And that's forcing us to think a lot about the way that we are designing and evolving our platforms to support our customers. But the biggest thing is that this stuff is really, really, really exciting. I'm thrilled at the growth of API Days, and I'm thrilled to see so many people here, and I'm sure there's a big crowd online as well. Please do not be bound in your creativity by the way things are done today. This is stuff that's changing the way commerce works. This is stuff that's creating new space for new innovators and new companies to be able to fill, as I say, points of service, points of value, and resolve points of friction in transaction flows that are great opportunities for the innovators and the fintechs and the startups out there. And when you get it right, we're interested to partner with you. One word of caution, we're really big. So scary big. We process trillions of dollars of transactions in payments every single month. And when we process those trillions of transactions of dollars of transactions every month, how many of those do you think we're allowed to get wrong? Zero, right? So when we do partner, we need to partner with organisations that are focused on very high availability, very high scalability, very high quality and transaction integrity, right? So when you do come to us knowing that that if we're going to partner with you, you have to partner at bank scale and bank quality. And don't be offended if we turn around and say, you're nearly there, just because when we do this and we do get it right, then the sky's the limit. And so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Richard, thanks for the sharing. We've gained valuable insights on the API landscape and the future of connected banking. Now, let's move on to a thought-provoking panel discussion on innovation success and the technology enablement through API. I would like to invite the foreign members come to the stage to give the sharing. Albert.
The API Connect Hong Kong 2023 conference is powered by bNovelty Limited. Check out more API-related education content on bnovelty.com or apidays.hk for more information.